Hi class, this is a recording for Unit 7 for IN221, and I'm just going to go over basically what we have summed up from the announcement for the week. This way you'll have something available to you for your option 2. So this week we're covering network and infrastructure services, and basically we're talking about IT infrastructure services that are what the role is in a system administration, right? So as we build the infrastructure, we're building out all of the apps and conditions that are going to be used within the system itself. So you can explore server operating systems, virtualization, network services, DNS for web services, and how to troubleshoot network services. So you're going to complete this week a discussion board and a seminar. You have the reading and resources, supplemental reading that you'll find in Quick Labs as well, your Quick Labs quizzes, there's 2 of those, and then of course your labs that you'll complete. And then there is no journal for this week. My phone number and email is down here. You know I'm always available. So I am going into the table of contents. We're going to go over the overviews and outcomes and reading and such. And basically, like I said, you're going to explore server operating systems and a few other things. But by the end of this week, you should be able to explain the most common IT infrastructure services a system administrator is responsible for. And that's a big deal because having to know what it is will help you understand what it is that you're going to do too. Go into your reading. Quite a bit of videos this week. There's quite a few. Basically, to really get you into the grind of it all. Intro to infrastructure services. That's the role, the types of services. How do Quick Labs work? That's an infrastructure service itself, isn't it? It's a an online service. Then there's Heather, her first tech job. Physical infrastructure services such as a server operating system, virtualization, remote access revisited. And you have network services. Those are pretty familiar when you're into the internet and websites. FTP, secure FTP, file transfer protocol, of course, and your TFTP. Then you have an NTP, a network support services revisited, DNS for web services, NDS for internal networks, DHCP, troubleshooting network services, unable to resolve a host name or domain name. That's a good one. Managing system services. What do services look like in action? Managing services in Linux, managing services in Windows, configuring services in both Windows and Linux as well, and then configuring network services, DNS and DHCP. And supplemental readings included in your Quick Labs are IT infrastructure services, server operating systems, remote access, and SSH. Importance getting into the command line of the web services themselves with the SSH, FTP, bind power DNS, and DNS and DHCP. It's going to be a lot of information this week. Your learning activities, your quizzes, physical infrastructure services, and network services. Then your discussion is IT infrastructure can be divided into 3 categories: systems management, network management, and storage management. Based on these 3 categories, explain how you might approach the management of these for your company. So we have 3 different pieces here, right? Systems, network, and storage. They're all important within themselves. Network management specifically to make sure that everybody is able to get on and get into the system, the network system, and that they can locate files, that they can add to, they can be commissioned to or decommissioned from. So when it comes to network management, that's the network across the board and how it works with all the systems that they have going on, all operating systems being what they're allowed to get into. Sort of like in the internship, we have the Azure system that we're using, Azure Microsoft. And we do the same. We have that is our network management. And Microsoft being our storage management. And then our systems management is Azure. Basically, there's a difference because network means we're going to network everybody together into that system. The system management is the process of us getting in there and allowing them to get in and out of what apps we consider part of our system. So we've chosen all these different applications within Azure and Microsoft. We're going to allow them to get in and out and be allowed to use any of them specifically towards for their department. And then, of course, going to give them, commission them and decommission them for the term. And then the storage management, we're using OneDrive for that. So they have their own storage management, but what is open to who? We have the files that are specific folders for them, but we give their leaders and managers access to those files. But if you're another department, you can't have access to those files and folders. So that's storage management. So when you have that bubble, you have little ones inside the big bubble, right? I guess is the best way to explain it. You've got the file cabinet, you've got the different folders, and you've got the different files that go into those folders. So it's a lot of really pulling it apart. It's one big system, but it's pulling apart, and as you can see it that way. And it's a good way to see it when you come to manage your company that way. Looking forward to see what you guys come up with. The lab for this week, graded quiz, network services. Then you have your C4M2L5 in your quick labs. You have 3 of them, managing services in Linux, services in Windows, and then get familiar with DNS and DHCP. So you got lucky, no journal this week, but you do have the discussion. So I look forward to reading all of that. I will have your stuff graded by Friday. I will make sure that that gets done. And Saturday at the latest, maybe. But thank you for joining me. And look forward to seeing your option 2 and reading your discussions and grading your stuff. Have a great evening. Thanks.